Oh, we feel very good now, and it was a tough match. We played good, we enjoyed. We had some opportunities, and we took them.
For me, I'm not really satisfied what we did in the first round. Now we'll prepare for the next, and we have to do better.
We'll focus on what we can control, and it will be the key for us. And we can't control the opponents, so we're gonna try to control our game.
Every time if we play this kind of battle, we have to adjust ourselves, how to control the pressure.
We're gonna try to give 100% at the beginning of the match, and it will be maybe the key.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, for our first match of the second round, please welcome into the arena Team France. And your defending champions of the World Cup of Pool, here is Team Philippines!
Yes, all the fans in attendance here. They're heroes from the Philippines on center stage, and they've come to see them perform. The defending champions, but what a hurdle they've got to get over here in France. Stefan Cohen on the right, Alex Montpellier, his partner, just coming to shake hands now. A very good team that the Philippines have to try and get by.
Wherever in the world the Filipino players go, there's always a crowd of their countrymen and women there to greet them and cheer them on. It's absolutely amazing. Pool is
Philippines win the lag.
Pool players are heroes in the Philippines, and they get treated as such anywhere in the world they go.
Now, Ted, you've
First track,
made your home
race
in the
to seven,
Philippines
winner
for a
breaks.
number of years.
Philippines to break.
You know as well as anyone, these guys are like movie stars over there, aren't they?
Well, Dennis Orculio and Lee Van are maybe a little bit less than that. I mean, a guy like Efren Reyes is an absolute folk hero. He's mobbed wherever he goes. But, you know, as their careers advance, and both these guys over the last 10 years have just wins all over the world, they become more and more popular. But I can tell you, Jim, that they prefer to play in big events outside the Philippines, because when they're at home, there is just too much pressure. It's a crushing pressure. They're expected to win by millions, and if they don't win, everybody says, they're losing it. They choked, and everything. It's too much pressure. And that's one of the reasons last year I feel that these two won this event, was because they could play sort of under the radar. They could relax. And we all know, Jim, in pool, one of the key is to relax.
Yes, I always remember, ideally, you have to play like it means nothing when it means everything.
Shout call.
Now, speaking of relaxing, you know, the French side, nothing to lose, right? They can just come out here. Nobody expects them to win. No pressure. They were very relaxed in their first match against Italy.
And we already know that every one of these players, the 16 teams still remaining in round two, any one of these guys can win it.
Reset the clock. Stop clock.
So after the push out, Stefan Cohen of Team France not liking that. So Lee Van, that was Lee Van on your right. Dennis Orculio on the left.
Yeah, I don't know whether France really wants to get into a chess match with these two. Too much talent, too much experience. And too much luck. Well, that was very fortunate. That could have gone wrong. Didn't intend the double kiss, but it certainly didn't work out bad.
Now we'll see Alex Montpellier. No question who's the captain of this squad. Stefan Cohen, a veteran, been around for many years. On your left. This is the sort of like big brother, little brother
Extension call.
setup here for the French side. Now this is Stefan Cohen now.
Now, is that 5 come to save him, or has he left it for Dennis?
It looks to be on.
Yeah, he just caught that a little thicker than he wanted to and wide open. I don't think Lee Van's going to be able to get too close to this 4. He's going to have to leave Dennis just an open look at it. Dennis knows that. A little too straight on the 3. Just try and get the cue ball as close to the middle as possible.
Try to quantify the depth of knowledge that both these players, Lee Van and Dennis, have. Put it together. It would be an enormous number. Just if you could put it into a number. They have so much knowledge of this game. Like you said, you don't want to get involved in a chess match with these guys. You don't want to. You cannot outkick them. Safety play. Just got to hope they have a bad night.
So a thin cut here and just off 2 cushions to play the 5 to the other corner. And leaving a perfect angle just to slide that cue ball. Just let it drift over a little bit for the 6 top right. Even though these two are partnering each other right now, I know there have been many occasions, Ted, and you'll know this too, that they've faced off against each other for some serious cash back home.
Oh yeah, they have been rivals for a very long time, and there was a point a few years ago where they probably weren't the best of friends, but you know, when you get outside the Philippines and you're playing for this kind of money and you're playing for your nation, they came together really quickly and they really well last year. And it's all about national pride and it's all about that cash.
Yeah, both very personable young men. Smile easy. And they definitely want to be smiling when this event finishes. They were dancing last year. The easiest of 9s, and the Philippines open their account 1-0. It's still a race to 7, but they'll have the break in rack number 2.
I had the feeling they didn't play their best against Chile, but we've seen that before. Teams who are favored in the opening match sometimes can have a bad spell.
Yeah, but a record 2-0. 3 times the Philippines have won this. On 2 occasions, it's been the great ones, Efren Reyes, Francisco Bustamante. But last year it was Lee Van Corteza and Dennis who they hoisted the hardware. And only China has won the event on 2 occasions. And no team has repeated.
And this event was actually played in the Philippines for 4 straight years. So that's why you see.
You've got to be quiet when he's at shot. Okay.
Well, referee Nigel Reese right away just setting order in the crowd. Controlled enthusiasm.
Legal break.
It's illegal. Illegal. You must get 3 balls past the head string. A ball potted counts as a ball past the head string. So in that case, the number added up to 2. Now, France has the option to shoot this, which they will. But if they don't like the shot, they can give it back.
Well, they'll be shooting it. They'll just be playing safe. I don't believe it passes the corner pocket, and they're not going to play it into a blind pocket, the other corner. Just no value and far too high a degree of difficulty. So they'll shoot this, Ted. They're just going to play safe.
In their match versus Italy, I was impressed with Alex Montpellier. I hadn't seen him play on a match in a tournament like this, and he made a really good account of himself. Didn't seem to feel the pressure at all, like he wanted to be here.
Oh, that's another mistake. He tried to use that pink as a blocker, and he's left a chance. Well, it's either a combination if he wants to attack there or a very thin cut into the side pocket. Neither one of them easy. But a mistake regardless from France.
Extension call.
Just having a look to see if the 2 goes. And 2 looks like it'll pass the 6. Or is he looking to see if the 1 will go?
What a shot.
Well, that was only half a pocket at best. What a shot from Denis Orculio there.
Jim, that's of another level. Not many players could execute that. There's no margin for error on a shot like that.
And just like that, they got their foot in the door and they just put their shoulder to it. Half a mistake. And this talented team from the Philippines looked very much like going 2-0 ahead.
You see him pointing behind that 6 ball. That's the ball. So, Jim, the 6 will go into the side. I don't know if you can see it. Marriott sort of hiding behind the 9 there.
He's going to leave the angle, and Denis will just push this through, get the cue ball over the right-hand side of the table to leave the 6 into the side pocket. That's exactly what he was telling Levan. The line he wanted the cue ball on, so he can just run this through. But he did not want the cue ball finishing there. Anywhere but there. Levan's a little taller than Denis, so that height certainly will aid him here, but this is tough.
Boy, he played that with some confidence.
He's smiling as he walked over to the side. What a recovery.
I mean, you got that high bridge hand. You only have a small portion of the ball that you can see. You have to avoid fouling by touching the 8. He didn't even blink.
And 2-0. The favorites stamping their authority on this match. You know, the way they played against Chile in their opening round, 7-5 they came home, but it was far from convincing. And we said they will get better. They need to.
Oh yeah, it's a long way from the Philippines. I know. I traveled there. And just before they left, there were some floods in Manila, and it was really hard to get out of the country. And so, it's just jet lag can be tough and can really play tricks on your mind. Let's take you upstairs. Look at there. That is Earl the Pearl Strickland in the practice room with Shane Van Boning, Team USA.
Yeah, they'll be teeing it up against Russia right after this match. They'll be next on.
So it'll be Dennis or Coolio to try to extend the lead for Team Philippines.
Well, I don't know about you, Ted, but I also noticed, well, this is another illegal break. Just an illegal break, it looks like. Yeah. Wow. An illegal break, really, if you remember back into the last match, that's where things turned when India was 5-2 ahead.
That's correct. And the entire match changed on that one illegal break. So Orculio have to go back to the drawing board on the break, try to figure out how to not only pot the balls, but make sure to get at least 3 balls over the line, or a combination of potted balls and balls over the line. It is something these players work on a lot.
Well, and given that it's an illegal break, it's not a foul, but France has the option, so they put the Philippines back in. Chances are they're going to push, and so what France is looking at, well, maybe not push, because you can see the 2, but the safety is very difficult. If they did decide to push, France wanted to be able to leave themselves with a choice of whether to accept the shot or not. But it looks like he can see this 2.
Push out Cole.
No, they're pushing. So obviously the safety, that tricky from that position, even though they could see it.
Will they take it, Jim? They're going to give it back.
Reset, please.
What do you think the Philippines had in mind there?
Well, I think they laid it right where they want it. And really, the only option I can see is put some distance between the cue ball and 2. Bank the 2 up towards the middle rail on the right, past the side pocket, and try and let the cue ball float down towards that far left corner. May even find cover. Just like this. He's got to get it by the side. He missed the 5. He was trying to get the cue ball behind the 5. And he's left a chance for France. I think he caught that a little thinner than he really intended.
So the youngster, Alex Montpellier, under a bit of pressure here to execute and get this rack going for France.
Extension Cole.
He was certainly up to the task against Italy. Yeah, these two have been practicing Scotch doubles for about 6 weeks.
Really have to be impressed with this young man.
Pretty confident stroke there.
Every chance now. Nice angle on the 3. Well, he's left the 4-7 combination. So he'll play this very slow, leave the 4 over the pocket.
You know what, Jim? They're not rattled being behind 2-0 to the Philippines. Again, they maintaining that posture of nothing to lose. Wait for your chances, bide your time, just execute.
Well, Stefan Cohen, he's been a rock on the European tour. Very hard player to play against because he always competes. He's a battler, and he's known for those qualities. And you know that his young partner, Alex Montpellier, well, he's just over the moon to be here and sharing the stage with Stefan. Didn't really want to be straight, though. Little angle, he'd have been able to get just top side of that 8-ball. He may either just stun this and try and get over or just draw it straight back. Well, he stuns it, and you can see him trying to will it over with his shoulder. Thin cut, so he's not going to be able to get quite as close to the 9. He'll leave that cue ball above the side pockets as we look.
They didn't want to leave him in the center of the table like this, like that. This is a little more difficult than Stefan would have liked.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say this is missable. Right into the heart of the pocket. Stefan Cohen, Alex Montpellier pull one back. Still 2-1 to the Philippines in the race to 7. World Cup action will continue following the short break.
Alex Montpellier. Certainly not with the resume of Stefan Cohen. Once won a 14-1 straight pool world championship in the United States. Quite an accomplished straight pool player, Stefan.
Well, he's delighted that cue ball stayed on the table because he's got a big chance here.
What a break.
1 and 2 sitting pretty, but watch the cue ball. Both knuckles, and hung around for position on the 1.
I'm really impressed with Alex Montpellier. So easy for a guy newcomer to the big arena like this to just fold, but he's played steady, he's relaxed, he's enjoying himself.
Yeah, this is nothing more than just connect the dots. Everything there for the taking, wide open.
In our last match, we saw what can happen when a team gets the measure of the break. India won 5 in a row, and they parked England in their chair for 25 minutes. But it wasn't enough. As England stormed back and won a thriller at the wire, 7-6.
Well, this comeback from France is due solely to the lax safety shot from Levan Corteza, remember, on the 2-ball after they had pushed out in rack number 3. What a great shot there. Perfect angle. Stefan doesn't have to do too much with this. Just let the natural angle take the cue ball up for the 8.
Alex is so relaxed. I just saw him just yawned a little bit. Jim, he's not in awe of Team Philippines. Neither of these guys are in awe of Team Philippines. We saw them in the practice room, totally relaxed, nothing to lose.
The first 4 racks are going to be split. And again, courtesy Stefan Cohen depositing the 9. And France has the break. Rack number 5, and all of a sudden, the complexion of this particular match has changed significantly.
Great break off from Alex right there in rack number 4. Let's see what Stefan can do. If they can get a break and run here, this is going to apply some heat on the Philippines. You know, Jim, always, you know, when we do our stand-ups in front of the camera, we talk about this, how in these short races, the pressure is really on the favorite team, because it can be quite embarrassing for the favorite to go out early in a tournament. If France goes out, it's not really a big deal. People don't expect them to win.
Oh, in any game that you can think of, the shorter race always favors the underdog. And Poole is no different.
Stefan Cohen. Now, most players are not breaking from this side. He's just more comfortable. Let's see. He's got the 1 ball down, but it's not going to be a legal break. It's illegal.
No, with the 1 down, though, it looks like the 2 ball is covered. You see it again. Only the 2 ball getting across the head string, and 1 ball down. That doesn't equal 3. But they may turn it back to let France push out. That's exactly what they're doing.
Reset the call, please.
People may be wondering, why is there an illegal break rule? Well, the main reason that it has been instituted in some tournaments, such as this, is to stop players from soft breaking, because the game just becomes boring and repetitive. And it's one of the more fun features of 9-ball when you see players slam the ball. So they always try to find a happy medium, because, of course, they're trying to, they want to make that 1 ball on the break. So sometimes they don't hit it full. They hit it medium speed, and that's what happens. They do make the 1, but they don't get enough balls past the head string.
Yeah, this is a tricky shot. I mean, you could easily try and clip the 2 and bring the cue ball back down, try to get behind cover, but you got to be real careful here, because you know you're going to be sending that 2 towards the top right corner. This is a tricky shot. And I got to be honest, Ted, I don't see a lot of options. I think he has to try and clip this on the left-hand side. There's no value in making it in the top left, because you're going to have no position on the 3. Might even snooker yourself on the 3. So possibly he could even look for a full contact, try and bank the 2 over to the right-hand side. Those are the only options I see. And he's gone for the fine clip, purposely overcut that, and perfect speed on the cue ball. And the whole right-hand side of the table looks like it's taken away. The left-hand side is a very tricky hit, and for that very reason, Denis Arcolio has gone back to his chair to get his jump cue.
Extension code.
Now he's got a lot of balls to try and hide behind here.
That worked out well. Looking through that, around that 6 ball.
Yeah, for me, that 4 ball just below the 2 is well, he went for the bank. Someone did yell out foul shot in the crowd. I don't know what that was all about, but that was not a foul. And I think Dennis is just having a word.
Well, yeah, he can make this, but look at the 3 tied up with the orange 5.
Yeah, it looks like it offers a combination, though, possibly to the bottom right. Yeah, he's just pulling back.
Shot. Okay, it's the last chance.
He's
Honestly,
pulling
no,
back to
otherwise
try and
Philippines
leave his
will have to-
partner
have to leave.
a bank
It's last
shot.
chance, please. Please set
And
the
there
clock,
is
please.
a little bit of disturbance in the crowd. And again, referee Nigel Reese is just called in to bring order a little bit.
Well, that's what happens when you have a liquid dinner. Get a little, some fans get a little vocal.
Looks like a useful shot from Dennis. And they have to hurry because they've used their extension, 30-second shot clock. Each team allowed 1 extension of 30 seconds, and it's down to 10 seconds now, so winding down. Yeah, he didn't catch that nearly
leave
as
that
full
open.
as he wanted to.
This is the key shot here. Get position on the 4.
This has been a perfect example of one of those racks that has been a little more tactical and scrappy, where some safety play has been called to the fore, and an example of what France wants to try and avoid against the Philippines.
Precision.
Yeah, I'm not sure he can get over and stay above the 5. He may be able to force this and try and get below the 5 and play the 5 to the same corner. Well, that was dangerous the way he played it. I mean, he had a lot of traffic in the way. Obviously, he thought he could miss it. I thought it would have been better advised to hit it a little harder and try and go above the 8 and play the 5 to the same corner. Now he's got a kick at it.
That's what the Filipinos are known for. Well, that'll sort of work out. It's not an easy shot.
Set the clock, please.
Yeah, and the position makes it doubly tough.
He's going to have to cue over that 8 ball. So a lot riding on this rack. The momentum is definitely up in the air for somebody to grab.
Well, now Stefan needs this wall of colors to come to his aid. This is close. Dennis is looking right down the line. Can he get through there to pocket this?
Well, only he could do this. Wow.
I think there's room. And I think it's almost like a guide, Ted.
That's very thin. Oh, brilliant.
Well, look at the shot he's left his partner.
This is similar to that 8 ball that Levan had to make in the very last rack against Holland last year when they won the World Cup of Pool at your call.
That was far from easy. I think he thought he made it. And I think I even heard Dennis say good shot when he hit it. He stroked it pretty good. Just not quite good enough.
Wow. Made this longer than it had to be. Good chance for France now. Apply a little pressure.
I'll tell you what, his arm went for a holiday there.
The south of England.
Nice and quiet then,
That's
please.
as bad as you're going to see Stefan Cohen hit a ball. And you can't attribute it to anything other than the pressure of the moment.
Well, and I think that's very telling because they perhaps have let the pressure get to them a little bit when really they should have been playing loose.
Listen, that was a miss hit. Look at Dennis. He intended that cue ball on the other side of the 9.
No. Another miss from Levan.
What an unbelievable rack this has been.
Well, if I were France, I would just say, to heck with the pressure. Just get out there and have fun because, listen, anything's possible in this short race to 7. This is a gift. The way things are going, they can definitely win this match. But, of course, nobody expects them to win, Jim, so just enjoy.
The defending champs definitely look vulnerable. And France look like they want to take advantage. The 9 goes down, 3-2, France leads. As I said, it's a race to 7. And I understand we've got our colleague Phil Yates. He's tracked down a few players up in the practice area.
That's right, Jim. It's intense in the match arena. It's businesslike here, quiet, respectful of the players who are preparing for our final match of the evening, and 4 of the very best, as you can see on the practice table. The great Earl Strickland and Shane Van Boening on the right-hand side of the room. On the other side of the room, Konstantin Stepanov and Ruslan Chinnikov from Russia. It's going to be a cracking conclusion to the day.
Has there been any interaction whatsoever between the two teams?
Absolutely none.
Does that surprise you at all, Phil?
Well, we know about the great rivalry over the sports between these two nations, basketball, ice hockey over the years, Rocky IV even. I think tonight we're going to see a knockout blow, but who will deliver?
Well, only Phil Yates could say that.
Phil, you keep us apprised of what's going on up there, mate. Yes, fantastic. Rocky IV, there you go. And that'll be coming up. You won't want to miss it.
The living, walking factotum, Phil Yates. Great reporting from our practice room. And the tension is building for that Russia-USA battle coming up next. But right here, the Philippines with a few chinks in the armor. And nice break from Alex Montpellier.
Yeah,
I believe the 2 is open, Jim.
If he can get through to the, and he can, wide open. The 4 is a little bit of a problem where it's situated. And even position to the 3. Is he going to be able to slow roll this or possibly even kill it? Maybe even try and draw this over and take the cue ball into the 3. It's going to require a real good stroke regardless of what he does. Yeah, he took the cue ball into the 3, just didn't quite get into it. And now safety only for his partner. I get the feeling that Stefan knows, though, if they can just maintain a consistent pace, limit the mistakes in their game, I think they know the Philippines are there for the taking.
They know that based upon what they've seen so far, this is an equal match. which means they have every chance that the Philippines does to win this. Oh, that's a shame. That was well played, too.
Yeah, had he got that cue ball behind that 7, I think Dennis would have needed a protractor to try and figure out the angles to get out of that one. But now, a wide open look at the 3, the 4 in close proximity.
Extension code.
Big shot here for Team Philippines to try to get one back. 2 mistakes in the last rack cost them the lead.
They're just not on their game at all. They were not on their game against Chile, and they haven't brought their game over against France either. They were rather fortunate to survive the match against Chile. The way they're playing, they will not survive against France. They have to find, they've got to find some form.
This is as good a chance as the French could ever want. It's now or never.
Well, the 4 passes the 7 into the top right corner.
That's a tough shot.
It is. He's got the inside half a pocket, and if he doesn't play it at too much pace, the pockets are a little more forgiving.
You got love.
Perfect example right there. And look at the position on the 5.
France is outplaying our defending champions, the Philippines. It is time to seize the moment for the French. I'm impressed, Jim. What about you?
There's a hush going through the auditorium right now. I don't know if this would be the same level of the upset we saw in the opening round, Qatar taking out Chinese Taipei, but it wouldn't be far off, would it?
It would be right there. Right there. I mean, the Philippines as a pool-playing nation far and away from France. It's not even close. So for France to be able to take down the Philippines, monumental. But you've still got to pot the last 2 balls. Like I said, Jim, you've got to seize the moment, and that's not seizing the moment. How many chances will you get? Behind the back. This is, a lot of the Filipino players are really noted for this.
A huge let off, and it might be one they end up regretting.
Redemption for Urculio, and just in the nick of time, the Philippines scrapes their way to a tie. It's 3-3. The action continues after the break.
Ice and quiet,
Very
please.
important to try and avoid the illegal break. You've got to hit it hard, and you've got to get at least 3 balls past the head string, or some balls pocketed to equate to that.
Well, that's an illegal break. Nothing down.
Been a mystery for them, and one they haven't been able to solve.
What's interesting about that rule is that it's not necessarily how hard you hit it, because sometimes you can slam into the balls and they don't always get 3 past the head string. You know, the balls run into each other. They cannon into each other. It's the one thing you see the players up in the practice room doing. Nice shot. Practicing that break shot over and over again.
Boy, that was a terrific opening shot from Alex Montpellier. Look at this. Dead center of the side. And he's left Stefan a nice angle on this long 2. Let that cue ball track over towards the 3. But a lot of distance between cue ball and object ball here. Yeah, he's starting to move.
Yeah, he's lost it a bit.
Very fortunate where that cue ball has found cover. But he's got to try and go sort himself out.
Yeah, sooner or later, Filipinos are going to get it back together, and they're going to make France pay.
Well, and if they start to sense like they're seeing weakness, and that was pretty evident there, they'll probably pick up the pace.
Extension call.
This will be a pretty crafty kick shot. So another chance now for France.
Yeah, I can see him playing this into the far corner pocket and letting the cue ball come off that side cushion and back over the right-hand side of the table for the 3, bottom right here. This is almost a shot to nothing. If he gets it, he'll have position. If he doesn't, should be safe.
You gotta love the way he's playing. The problem here is his partner, Stefan, starting to collapse a bit.
Nice shot. Stunned that in. Nice position on the 4.
This kid's playing really well.
Got a nice angle on the 6 here.
Extension call.
Just needs to leave that window between the 8 and the 9 to avail the 7.
I like the way this kid plays the game. Not really a kid. He's 30 years old. I know he looks like he's 13, but he's new to this level of 9-ball.
Yeah, when Stefan stays still, he's successful. He's just got to force himself to lock in.
And France, after giving one away and apparently losing the momentum, is going to get it right back. Excellent effort from the French. They now lead it 4-3 over the Philippines.
And once again, let's send you back upstairs to the practice room where Phil Yates is still with the two teams.
Yes, Ruslan Chernakov is stopped practicing for now. Konstantin Stepanov room here. We've got the Flying Finns, Mikkonen and Immonen. And of course, for Finland, Russia are their next door neighbours. So I think they're going to have quite a lot of interest in what occurs in our next match out in the arena.
And still, Earl and Shane warming up those Q arms, trying to grease them up a little bit. They want to make sure that they're loose and ready, fit for the battle.
Well, they've played an awful lot of pool while I've been in here, and they seem to be hitting the ball nicely and seem to be relaxed and gelling nicely.
Yeah, cheers, Phil. We'll be back. You stay there, mate.
Thank you, rack 8.
Back
France to break.
to France
Four racks
and
to
the
3.
Philippines. 4-3. France has kind of stemmed that brief
Nice and quiet,
comeback. And a good break would really put Team Philippines under heat.
And that last rack, Stefan Cohen here, he settled down a bit. Well, that's going to be a legal break. The 1 ball is down. Now, is there a shot on the 2?
There is, Ted. A long shot on the 2 as we see Stefan's break yet again. Ball down and 2 balls crossing the head string, but it's a long, just off straight 2, 3 at the same end of the table. Well, I said just off straight, make that dead on straight, and that makes position considerably trickier.
Yeah, that's what he's considering right now. You can see the real friendly relationship they have. Big brother, little brother. And Stefan very comfortable. Both these players comfortable with each other. And the reason he had to play it like that, it was all about position on the 3. So a good effort. Nothing to be ashamed about.
Well, Dennis is having a look. I don't know whether the 2 passes. If not, he's got the combination onto the 5. Doesn't look like it goes. So just overcut it slightly. Should pocket the 5 and leave the 2 very close to that corner.
Extension call.
Both these teams are battling it out in the trenches right now. And this match could go either way. Carom shot.
Yeah, and position up in the air. Now, did that 2 stop in time to leave Levan a shot?
I believe it did. This is the key shot here. Still some work to do.
opted for the bank shot because it was easier position to the 4. Didn't have to let the cue ball race around with a thin cut. A gutsy shot from Orcolio there. Well, we're going to be all tied up here at 4 apiece. Ted?
It's a good rack for the Philippines.
I wouldn't want to live on the difference. I can see this one going hill too. And
Well,
you
it's
know,
not go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, you know, if you're France, I think you would have gladly taken 6-6 against the Philippines and
Oh, yeah.
flipped a coin.
Yeah. Good position to be in.
4-4 confirmed.
That was a good rack for Team Philippines right there. They had some difficult shots, difficult cueing, and they pulled through nicely. That's the kind of action that can finally get you in the groove. They haven't been in a groove all match. Early on, first 2 racks, they were looking okay. But since then, it's been like pulling teeth. But I expect the Philippines to come back with a good rack here.
Well, it'll have to start with a good break because that certainly has been absent in their game. Dennis
Rack 9, Philippines
out of
to
his
break.
chair to break.
4-4.
Rack number 9. In the tradition of
Quiet then,
pool in the
please.
Philippines, this is Pool's version of Jack and the Giant Killer.
Oh, he just missed potting a ball, but that's actually a legal break, but it's dry.
Yeah, it's going to bring France to the table, but it really has been one of those nights.
Yeah, to be honest, this is as poor as I've seen any team break. I know when you talk to Orcolio afterwards, no matter the result, that'll be the first thing out of his mouth, that they did not break well at all.
Stefan was trying to duck behind the 7, but he got the 1 behind cover at the bottom end of the table. You know, at this stage of the match, too, every little break that the team gets is going to be magnified.
Stanchion call.
What a response.
Very tough kick shot here. Tough to hit, tougher to get it safe.
Boy, what an answer on that previous safety from the Philippines.
Yeah, and you know what upsets him even more is he's completely opened up all 3 balls down in the other corner. And now this table's there for the taking. You see coming down, hitting the 6, 8, and 9, pushed everything into the open.
So this is the best chance the Philippines has had in 45 minutes. to get something going.
Got to leave an angle on this 4. The 5 is at the bottom end of the table.
Philippines does not have an extension. They've already used it. Nice shot. And the Philippines, with that terrific lockdown safety, forcing Alex Montpellier to foul, are about to stamp their class on this match.
He won't bother getting too close to this 7. He'll leave the cue ball down the bottom half of the table. Just an angle to float it over to the side.
Philippines was down 4-3. So these two for 2 in a row. Their last lead was at 2-1, and they have struggled. It's not how you play early in the match, it's how you finish.
Boy, that was some reach for Dennis. Barely 5 feet, stretching out over the table, but he has helped Philippines secure lead. 5-4 over France. The race to 7 heats up. We'll be back with more action following the break. Livan Cortez's turn to break. And he too has struggled.
Nice and quiet then, please.
This department.
Got to figure he's going to get a good break sooner or later. Got a ball down. It'll be illegal.
Yeah, and he'll be very happy that he hasn't left a shot at the 1.
Massive struggle on the break shot for Team Philippines.
Yeah, it's been so tough for either team to string any racks together.
You have to get 3 balls past the head string. A pocketed ball counts as a ball past the head string. So you can get a combination of 1 pocketed and 2 past the head string. And then that would be a legal break. So a nice reply from France. I think he can see that. Oh, yeah. Oh, but he missed it. And now this 1 ball is on yet. Dennis Urculio is not himself. Not the Dennis we all know.
Ted, remember what we were saying in the first round match against Chile? Is it was just about survival. I think it's the same story here.
I thought they would be spurred on by that great safety play in the last rack, but it's more struggle. And France, well, they're lurking about. If you asked France, Jim, before this match, would you like to be? We said you can be 5-4 down and at the table in a race to 7 against the Philippines in the World Cup of Pool. Would you fancy that? Would you be okay with that? I think they would have said yes.
Check, please. Well, he wants to get over the right-hand side of the table. Playing this into the side means he's got to avoid contacting that 6 at the top end. Does that, and that's beautifully played.
He's made some terrific shots.
Now Stefan's going to have to spin the cue ball a little bit here. Just slightly overran what would have been perfect position. Well, he was getting down to have a good look at that, but our camera angle doesn't lie there. This goes.
Go. What's he going to do with this?
Well, he's going to have to play safe, or if he decides to take the aggressive road, he's going to have to bank it up into the corner. Could try and pull behind the 5, hold the cue ball there, and use the 9 for a blocker. Those are his options. Now, that was the risky one, but it afforded more value in terms of how difficult the escape would be.
Filipinos are good at kicking.
And that's assuming he can't see the edge to cut this into the side.
Or maybe he can.
Extension code.
Is that the route he's going to go? Going to try to pot this. And he's going to scratch. You know, the Filipinos are so confident in their kicking ability, they didn't even think
Start the clock.
or worry about that shot, but the double kiss leads to the scratch, and now it's ball in hand. Oh, what a golden opportunity here for France to tie it up.
Right then, please.
I like the aggressive call from the Philippines, just didn't execute it.
No, he's got a little angle here. Again, just got to stay above the 9, just about where Alex has shown him. That line will do nicely. If you can always get on the intended line, Ted, you can be a little heavy or a little, well, he's overhit this.
That is.
I mean,
what a
there's just
shame.
no excuse, and Stefan knows it. He had so much room for error there.
Well, there's not even a possible jump here because the cue ball's too close to the 9, so Alex Montpellier was certainly expected to be just having a clear shot at the 7, and look at this, now he's got a kick at it. Oh, that's
No shot. Ball in hand.
well, that's also not good what he just did right there, and that's just out of frustration. You can't disturb the balls like that.
Reset the clock.
And certainly Nigel Reese would be within his right to give that rack immediately to the Philippines. They're going to get it anyway.
Well, just disgust on both French players. But no sympathy cards from the Philippines. 6-4, they arrive to the hill. One more rack win to secure a spot in the quarterfinals.
And no more relaxing for Team France. That was a disaster. They had a brilliant, golden opportunity to tie it up, and Stefan Cohen just absolutely blows the position with just 2 balls on the table. He's shaking his head. It wasn't his fault. This is it right here.
It's
unbelievable.
So much room for error there, Ted. He could have laid that cue ball. I mean, he wasn't on the intended line anyway. He just slightly overdrew that.
Philippines to break, leading 6 racks to 4.
And you don't find yourself in this position too many times in your pool playing career. On prime time television with a chance to upset the legendary Philippines, the defending champion. All wasted. Now this will be a legal break finally.
Yeah, he crunched those.
And looks like a shot on the 1.
That's more like Dennis Arculio can hit him.
And if they can get to this 1.
I think he can, Ted, and I think they've just saved their best break for last.
This is, you know, France can always try to console themselves and say, you know what, we weren't expected to win, but nonetheless, this would be a bitter defeat.
I don't know if Levan is looking to see if he can get enough of the 1 to make it into the side. He almost definitely can make it into the corner. Well, I correct myself. He couldn't even see enough to make it into the corner. What a good containing shot there. And that overhead camera completely fooled me. I thought it was a good break, and as it turns out, that's all it was. But a very good safety from the Philippines there.
Extension call.
Needs it past the side pocket.
No, it's not going to work. He is massively frustrated right now. Stefan Cohen must feel like he has let down his partner big time.
Yeah, that's the pressure that the players have to deal with. They know they're representing their country, and they've got to go back to the chair right beside the guy that they've also just let down. Three in the middle of the table. The 4 is just below the 9. And if Dennis elects to try and drop onto the 4 below it, he's going to have to avoid contacting any balls. Dennis is just directing traffic here now for Levan. Nice shot. Very nice shot.
Dennis happy with that.
That was one of those shots where it wasn't top spin, it wasn't bottom. He had to find a new area on the cue ball. Kind of a stun follow, really. And that's what the Filipinos are so masterful at. Ted, they create shots. manufacture angles and obviously so creative.
A lot of that has to do with the fact that they grew up playing 15 ball rotation, similar to 9 ball. Play the balls in order, and you add up the points. Slightly different game, but the point being is that they have a lot more traffic, a lot more balls on the table, so you have to get a lot more creative about moving the cue ball around, and that's why 9 ball seems so easy sometimes to Filipinos. And 2 balls left for the Philippines. It was not easy. And really what it came down to was the mistakes by France, in particular the veteran Stefan Cohen. Well, wait a minute.
Yeah, just hold on to your seats.
Wait. That's unusual, Jim.
Yeah, one
that
more
shot.
good shot required. That was, again, elementary position. Both of these teams have had their moments of lapses.
Unbelievable.
Well, they can share in the disappointment there because they both played a part. A horrible positional shot from Denis Orculio.
Quiet, please.
But Livan Corteza should make this every day.
Wow. What was that? France back at the table with a chance to tie? Put the Philippines in their chair? Come on.
Yeah, we're just seeing things here that, if nothing else, illustrate the amount of pressure that these players are under.
Well, I had just said, assuming that the Philippines was going to win, that, this was the one. He left very poor position for Livan, and even if they had won right there, there was nothing to be happy about for the Philippines except for the win, because they just haven't been themselves in either match in this tournament.
Both of them. They came here as the #1 seeds, defending the title, and France trailing 6-5 with the break.
Time's the break. Trailing 5 racks to 6.
And you know what? This guy, Alex, he's been breaking great throughout this match. He's been carrying his partner as well. 2 balls down, 3 balls down. Oh, but no shot on the one. I don't think so. Anyway, from the
wide open shot.
It is a shot.
The only problem is the 4 is the next ball on. And it's at the same side of the table as the 1. And he's got so much angle on this. Fine cut. In the hall watching. The Pearl himself. He's no stranger to drama.
Jim, going back to that shot by Orculio, that is unbelievable that he left that shot on the 9 with the just awful position. It's going to end up, oh no, it's going to hit the point, and he didn't want that.
So unlucky. Look at Alex smiling. That was so unlucky. That would have been a terrific shot. Tons of left-hand spin to pull it away and step it up. If nothing else, he's doing his calisthenics out there. So they've just used their extension. This is a key moment.
Distance. Oh, that worked out great. Got lucky.
And this is what happens. The pool gods have terrific memories.
They certainly do. Well, you can either call it the pool gods or the balls themselves. The 9 ball.
A 4-9 off the kick. What a way to close it out. Easily the shot of the tournament so far. Phenomenal. Off the second cushion, cut the 4 into the 9. Surprise and joy reigns supreme here at the Mountbatten Center.
Wow. Let's see that again. I think he actually saw this one.
He had to cut the 4 because it wasn't set into the side. Cut the 4 and look at him.
That's what we call in the United States a Hail Mary pass to get out of jail for the Philippines. They win it.
They celebrate. And I can tell you we'll be going to a break. But after the break, you'll be treated to yet